Welcome to Whippoorwill Holler. I'm Miss Lori and this is Mr. Brown. We live in the hills of Arkansas. We love the Lord. Keepers of the old way, but accept some of the new. We love to cook and we love to eat. We love to garden. It's in our blood. It's how we stay sustainable and fill our pantry. We do a lot of canning and preserving. We live a sustainable life. We love our family. We work hard. And every once in a while, we like to dance. So y'all join us. So today what I've got planned is I have got to get quite a bit of canning done. So I'm just going to turn the camera on and I'm going to bring y'all with me today. So y'all just get you a cup of coffee, a glass of tea, and just sit down here at my work table with me and just be with me. This is going to be, I'm going to be canning some baked beans. I'm even going to be canning some baked beans with hot dogs in it. I'm not sure, but I may be canning some hot dogs even. Have you ever canned hot dogs? Well, if you're ready to prepare your pantry, I mean, hot dogs is a good thing. We all like hot dogs, don't we? So, if your grid goes down and you have no way to keeping them hot dogs cold or frozen, you might as well can them, huh? Along with maybe some sausage links or something like that. I'm also going to be canning up chicken and some chicken stock. I really don't know what else, but whatever I have time for on top of everything else, I'm going to bring y'all along with me, and we're just going to get done what we can. You know, preserving food has been happening since the beginning of time, with fermentation or however they, done it as time went on. And our ancestors done what they did to preserve their food too, because it was called survival. It wasn't hobby canning. It wasn't, something that because everybody on YouTube does it, it was survival. And that's what my family and Danny's mom has always done. It's about surviving. So anything that you can do to get canned or to get dehydrated, or if you freeze dry or whatever. Now I do have quite a bit put it in the freezer. I'm going through my freezer right now, and I'm starting, now that I've got just a little bit of time, maybe, I'm just going to start doing a little bit of time, and I'm going to start canning, because I'm behind on my canning stuff. It's been a really busy, couple of years, has been really busy, but I'm just going to get after it today. But anyways, I'm just going to bring y'all along. I hope that y'all can, I'm going to do step by step as much as I can, but when you're in here canning and you're trying to get so much done, it may be a little more than, usually my canning videos are, all about that product for an hour, but we're going to try to get this in, several canning products in. So anyways, first thing we're doing is going to be baked beans. And I'm going to be canning, let's see, I've done 2 pounds of navy beans, and that's usually what I use for my baked beans. Even if I'm doing them, just a pan of baked beans, I always use navy beans. That's just my favorite. It's early in the morning, y'all, so y'all just have to look over me. I don't even know if I brushed my hair this morning. I think I just pulled it up. But anyways, I'm using ketchup because I don't like tomato sauce in my baked beans, but if you would rather use tomato sauce and ketchup, then you can use tomato sauce. But I'm going to tell you how much I'll be putting in of each thing. It's kind of a dump because, that's just a lot of things, I cook it, and then I taste it, and from there I'll add a little more to it. So that's what I'll be doing today. But anyways, it's 2 pounds of navy beans, and it should make anywhere from 14 to 16 pints. And I'm doing pints today. I'm also going to be putting in a little bit of some side meat in it, just a chunk in each jar. You don't have to do that, but it does make it taste really good. So I'll be telling you each ingredient that I put in my pot and how I done it. And we're going to can us up some baked beans and maybe even some beans and weenies. And from there, y'all just going to be here in my home with me and just do whatever I'm doing with me. I've got the navy beans back here in a big pot. And what I done this morning is I took the navy beans and I rinsed them. I put them in the big pot and I covered them with about 1 inch of water. And I let them soak for about an hour. And then after that, I drained them and I rinsed them again really good. And then I put them back in the pot and I covered them with 2 inches of water. And now what I'm doing is I'm just simmering my beans and just going to simmer them for like 20 minutes. I'm not going to cook them all the way done. And this is the reason why, because I think for my taste, they get too mushy. So the soaking and then cooking them, just simmering for 20 minutes, it usually turns out really good. Now, a lot of people make their canned baked beans not even soaking their beans. They just put the dry beans. And there's several videos on that if you would rather do it that way. But I'm going to do it this way. And I'm going to bring you over here, and each ingredient that I put in my pot, I'll tell you how much I'm putting in there. And we'll just go from there. I'm doing it in pints. A lot of people will do it in half pints. You can do that. And then we'll get our canner full. And we'll get to processing, and then we're just going to move on from there. What do you think? Okay, so in my pot right here, I've got my 2 pounds of navy beans. You can use Great Northern beans if you want to. And like I said, I rinsed them, soaked them, rinsed them good. And then I just got them on to simmer for about 20 minutes back here. And it's been close to 20 minutes. I've got my pressure canner right here with my 3 quarts of water in there. And I got a couple tablespoons of vinegar in here with it, just to keep all that residue off your jars. Now, when I put my 2 pounds of navy beans in here, I covered it about 2 inches above the beans before I put them on the simmer. And that's going to give me some bean juice. And we're going to use this bean juice in our baked bean recipe, because we're going to just be adding every bit of it to this pot. So I've got 2 onions that I've chopped up. And if you want to use onion powder instead of whole onions, you can do that. Just taste as you go. Don't put too much because it'll be bitter. Maybe put a couple of teaspoons in here or something, and then taste, after it gets done simmering, you might taste it in a little bit. Okay, so we got our beans and our onions, and I'm going to put 4 cups of ketchup. And like I said, if you don't want to use ketchup, you can use tomato sauce. Or you can use a tomato juice. But for my recipe, because I like the taste of ketchup in my baked beans, that's what I'm going to use. So 4 cups. I've got a 1/2 cup of molasses. Now, you can use maple syrup instead of molasses, or you can use half and half, molasses and maple syrup. I'm not going to be doing that because where I'm at, and even when I look online, maple syrup is so expensive that I save it for other things than baked beans. I wish I could, because it tastes really good in your baked beans, but it's just really expensive, y'all. So I'm putting a 1/2 cup of molasses. I'm going to put a whole cup of brown sugar because I love brown sugar in my baked beans. I'm going to put a 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar. You can use any kind of vinegar that you like. And I'm going to put in 2 teaspoons of dry mustard. If you don't have dry mustard, you can use just regular mustard, not your whole grain mustard, but just regular mustard like you'd put on a hot dog or something. I'm going to stir this up good. Now, I've got this on very low simmer because, like I said, I don't want my beans cooked all the way through. So I'm going to let this simmer long enough to get it heated through. And then I'm going to taste it. I'm going to taste the juice in it. Not the bean, but the juice. And if it tastes like it needs a little more molasses, if it needs a little more, you know what, I forgot the salt. If it needs a little bit more brown sugar, because I like my baked beans pretty sweet. But it needs maybe, besides the onions in there, maybe I need to put a little bit of more onion powder in it. You can do this to your taste and make it taste the way you want. Now, I have canned, the first time I canned baked beans, I went by a recipe that I found, and I absolutely did not care for it. So I thought, you know, next time I do, I'm going to make up my own. I just put a pinch of salt in there because I don't want them too salty. And then put a little bit of black pepper if you want it. It's hard for me to get used to this electric grinder, and it's only because of my hands that I even use it. But it has saved me a lot of hurting in my hands. Okay. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to let it come up to a simmer and let it get heated through and through where I can taste the juice, the broth in it. And I want to taste it and see what it tastes like. I've got my water, 3 quarts of water in here with 2 tablespoons of white vinegar. And usually I've got my jars in a big pot with water, or I've got it on the wood cook stove, but we're not able to put the wood cook stove on right now. Not cold enough. I'd have it on there with my jars heating up. So I've got them in the oven on 225, and they're okay. And we're going to do it that way this time. So I'm heating my jars up that way. I am going to put my lids in some warm water, get them ready, and when this gets heated through and through, I'm going to taste it, and then I'll come back and tell you how it tastes. So how are you guys doing today? So we got our beans on, they're simmering, and we'll taste them here in a minute. I hope y'all have had a good weekend. We had a very busy weekend, but don't that seem like that's just par anymore for our weekends or our days. There's just hardly a day that you can just sit down and say, oh, let's just rest today. Yesterday wasn't too bad. Of course, it was Sunday, and we went to worship yesterday morning, and we come home, and I got straight in there, and I had a bunch of butter that I had bought. I cannot find butter on sale around here where I live. We don't live around, and I wish we did. I mean, not that I wish I want to move or nothing, but sometimes our area just aggravates me because they don't really have good grocery stores here. The only thing that you have a choice of is Walmart. I mean, and we're like 30 minutes from any grocery store. Now, I can drive 20 minutes towards Hardy and go to the Cash and Save, and I would really rather buy there, but it's one of them stores that you can find really good meat if you're looking for meat. I don't hardly buy meat at the store, but and they do have off brands that are at really good price. In fact, they have a big, huge row of stuff off brands that a person could afford. But overall, their name brand canned goods and stuff, they're expensive. So we don't have Aldi's around here. We don't have a lot of y'all, like in Virginia and in Tennessee and in different states. I mean, I do get a little bit envious of some of the grocery stores that y'all have and y'all can go to, the discount grocery stores. We just don't have that around here. Now, we're really blessed to have the Mennonite store where we can go buy stuff in bulk, but it's not like it's not like a discount store. So it's not like you can just go and buy butter on sale or get it cheap. Like I said, Aldi's, we don't live by an Aldi's. We have to travel an hour to get to Aldi's either way. So anytime that I'm in an area that has Aldi's, I do try to go in there. And the butter is a little bit cheaper. But, so I bought, oh, what brand name is it? I think it's Prairie Farms or something like that, because it was the cheapest. It was under $5 for 4 sticks of butter. So I bought 6 pounds of that, and I have some in the freezer too. But I want to get butter on the shelf. If you process it and do it correctly, it can last anywhere from 3 to 5 years. Now, it's not a government approved method of preserving, so we have to say that right now. But it is our ancestors' approved method of, and people all over YouTube can butter. Now, I'm not saying ghee. I made ghee, I think, last year or year before, and I still have some in the pantry. This is just canning butter. But if you don't feel good about doing it, don't do it. But I've never had issues with it. I know tons of people that don't have issues with it. But that is for your digression and if you want to do it or not. Like I said, it's not government approved, but but you always have to be careful with any canning process. You have to be careful, make sure everything's clean, sterilized, and done properly. So, anyways, we're going to go on from there. So I did get 6 pounds of butter canned up, and I'll try to put that in with this video. It's an easy process. But I'm going to go here and I'm going to check my beans. I'm going to taste them and see what the juice tastes like. And if I think you might like them, I'll approve of it. I know what I like my baked beans to taste like, and that's what I'm trying to get across here. A little bit sweet, maybe a little bit tangy, but not a whole lot. I don't really like, some people put liquid smoke in theirs, and you can do that. You can put just a little bit of liquid smoke in there if you want to. I don't care for that. Or you can put a little bit of barbecue sauce, and if mine don't taste just right, I may do that. So let's see what it tastes like. Okay, let's get to getting these beans in the jars. My jars are hot. My beans, my juice, everything's hot in this pot. My water in my pressure canner is getting hot. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take a slotted spoon first. And I'm going to put this about halfway full of beans. And then I'll come back through and I've got some salt pork that I'm going to put in there too. And in some of them I'm going to be putting a few hot dogs in it. And I'm sorry if you hear Mr. Brown outside. This is a busy homestead and we just got things that are going on. So let me get my beans in here. Okay, I got my beans in there, so now I'm going to put my salt pork. And I'm just going to put a couple pieces. Now this is why I didn't put much salt, if any, in my baked beans, because of the salt pork. Now you don't have to put salt pork in there. You can put bacon, or you don't have to put any at all. You can make this a vegetarian baked beans if you want to. The salt pork is just going to give it a really good, anybody that makes homemade baked beans knows that a good piece of bacon and then baked beans, especially, you know, baked in there and on top, just makes them baked beans taste so good. So I got my salt pork in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of my juice. And some of this juice is going to have onions left in it and maybe a few beans. And I'm going to put this about, give it about 1 inch head space. Okay, and I'll show you one that I'll put some hot dogs in. Put about 6 to 8 cut up hot dogs, just like that. Now when I take these out and, you know, to eat, and of course it's just me and Mr. Brown. Now if I had more people over, I'd open 2 pints. I don't want to do it in quart jars. Now if you have a bigger family and you need to do quart jars, you'll do the same thing. You're going to have to double your recipe, and you'll be processing them for 90 minutes instead of 75. So I'm going to finish filling my jars, and we'll be right back. Okay, now we're going to wipe our rims off. I've got my lids and soaking in some warm water. You got to make sure that you wipe them rims. Oh, and before we do that, I almost lost my mind. You need to debubble. Take your debubbler and just go around the sides a little bit. Especially the ones that's got hot dogs in them. Do all of them. Okay. We debubbled them. Wipe the rims really good. Now I didn't check my jars. When I wash and sanitize my jars, I always make sure that I go around the top, make sure there's no nicks, no cracks in the jar or anything like that. Okay. This back one had a little bit sticky on the very top, so I'm going to make sure that it gets clean. Now we're going to take our lids and put them on. And you just want to get them finger tight. I'm using Superb lids. I really like them. I do have some 4-jar lids too, and I really like both of those lids, the Superb and the 4 jars.
Asking me for change, and I could use some. Think I could use some sometimes. All these things slow me down, like the concrete that's been sticking to the bottom of my shoes. Soles worn and tired have started wearing through. I can feel them heavier now. There's a hole here in my pocket. It reminds me of the ways I am hungry. Always right.
Now, the thing I like about doing my baked beans this way is I don't go by anybody's recipe. I go by my own because I know how I like for my baked beans to taste. And y'all can do the same for yours. You can start out with the base for it, pretty much. But I can tell you what I done, and I'll make sure that I write it in the recipe down below the video. I tasted it after it had simmered for a little bit, and it just wasn't sweet enough for me, so I added a whole nother cup of brown sugar. Now, like I said, this is to your taste. Now, if I could have afforded to use maple syrup in place of the brown sugar, that's what I would have done. I'd have added about a half a cup. The jars are hot. My kids tell me I have asbestos hands and fingers. That's from working in the school cafeteria so many years. So I added some more brown sugar to it. I think next time, and maybe I did, and I just don't remember, I'm only going to add 1/4 cup of my apple cider vinegar. Unless you like them really tart, the half a cup is fine. And then our favorite barbecue sauce is Sweet Baby Ray's, and I added about a half a cup of that in there. If you've got your own barbecue sauce, add a little bit in there, or if you have a little bit of liquid smoke. I don't care for liquid smoke. I just don't like it in anything, and I do know it's in a lot of barbecue sauces and stuff, but that's all to your liking. Taste it as you go. Just remember that, to make it your own, and that's what I'm doing here. And I will have the recipe down below in the information box down below the video. So my water is hot back here. And I'm going to start getting my jars in here. Let's see. And like I said, my beans are not completely cooked. Some of my jars may have more beans in them than others, but that's okay. I like taking these out and putting them in a little baking dish and putting some more bacon on top and putting them in the oven and getting them real thick. But me and Mr. Brown, when we want baked beans, we don't want just a whole lot. So this right here is just the right size. And if I have somebody come over, I'll just open up 2 jars. And that's how we do that. Okay, after pressure canner vented for 10 minutes, I've got a 10-pound weight on there, but it always comes up to 11 pounds. It came up to 11 pounds, and I adjusted my fire, and this is how it's supposed to sound when it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. It'll be really loud, then it'll kind of calm down a little bit. But anyways, so I started timing 75 minutes for pints. Be 90 minutes for quarts. Okay, let's can up some butter, y'all. I've got 6 pounds of butter, and I done half salted and half unsalted. You can do all unsalted, or you can do all salted. Some people claim that if you do all salted that it comes out a little bit grainy. I've never had that problem, but it is pretty salty. So if you do half and half, it seems to come out just a little bit better and not be so salty, but that's just up to you. You don't have to have the salt in your butter to can it. Now this is, like I said, disclaimer here again, this is not government approved canning, but it works at my house, and it works at a lot of other YouTubers' house and a lot of people that can butter. So just leave it to your discretion where if you want to do it. I want some long-term butter. So we got our butter melted. And what we got is I've got some hot jars, and 6 pounds should do 6 pints. And it's good and melted. And be careful when you're melting your butter that you don't put it on high heat. I had mine on medium low and just let it melt and let it get up to temp. And you don't, just make sure you stir it off and on so it doesn't, stick to the bottom or scorch, and that you keep your fat and your solids mixed together. Now this is not ghee, so you're not separating your solids from your fat. This is just pure butter, just like you would just grab out of your refrigerator to cook with. But the way the world's getting, I don't know. I just would like to have some butter in the pantry, and I know that this works. I do have butter in the freezer, but there may be a time that I can't even use my freezer because the grid goes down or something like that. So I'm just taking a little bit of vinegar, and I wipe the rims off, and I'm just going to put lids on finger tight. I left a inch head space. And I'm going to put this jar back in here in the hot water, and then I'm going to grab me another hot jar. And like I said, I'm only doing 6 pounds because I just couldn't find any butter on sale, or I'd have done a little bit more. I do have the butter out in the freezer, but I'm going to use it for short term. I'll be using it, taking it out when I need it, but for long term, I want to put some butter in the pantry. And I'll probably, if I find it on sale, I'll do some more. I know a lot of YouTubers that I've watched can butter, and they're not hesitant about it a bit. They know it's a good thing, and they know it works. But like we tell you, if you're afraid of it, don't do it. But we're not ever going to do anything that's going to cause any harm to our own family, so we sure wouldn't yours either. But it's all to your discretion. I do have a video making ghee, and I still have some ghee left in my pantry, so it's not something that I'm wanting to make right now, nor spend the extra money on butter to make it. Ghee is very expensive in the store, but it's expensive to make too, so either way. So I'll have 6 pints in here, and I'll be pressure canning the pints at 60 minutes. Here at my house, I put a 10-pound gauge on it, and it'll get to 11 pounds, and that's where I'll keep it at. It's 10 pounds. And we'll can it for 60 minutes. Have you ever canned butter? It's very easy to do. And it needs to be pressure canned. Now you may have some channels out there that do only water bath canning and probably have canned water bath butter, but you need to go to their channel and watch them do it, because I don't water bath anything unless it's got a high acidity level to it, like fruits and tomatoes and anything with vinegar and like pickling and stuff like that. So now, used to in the old days, we did water bath green beans, and the government decided that that's not very safe. So okay, it vented for 10 minutes. It's at 11 pounds, and I'm going to let this time it for 60 minutes. Okay, here's our butter. Now, what you do is once you take it out of the canner, you need to let it cool off. After your jars cool off, you need to shake them about every 15 minutes for about an hour to make sure your solids and your fats stay together. Okay, guys, here's our baked beans. After 75 minutes, I turn the burner off of my pressure cooker, let it come completely down to 0, the little thing went down and my little button went down, and I still wait at least another 10 to 15 minutes before I open the lid. And when I open the lid, I always open it away from me. You can see the little hot dogs up there. So this is the baked beans with the hot dogs, and they turned out really good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to clean my jars up, take the rims off, make sure all of them are sealed good, and we're going to call it another good day of prepping for the pantry. Now I'm going to have another video coming out. I'm hoping to get this one out on Tuesday afternoon, and then I'm hoping to get my next canning video out. I'm hoping Thursday, because I'm going to be canning up a bunch of chicken and some chicken stock, and I'm going to show y'all how I do that and how I do it in such an easy way that it's not an all-day process, and it turns out really good product, a really good canned chicken and broth. So anyways, I'm really proud of my baked beans. I had just a little bit left in my pot, and I had a couple of hot dogs left in my bowl. So you know what I did, I had to taste it. So after I got all my jars and everything in the pressure canner and got everything cleaned up, I put me some of the leftover juice, and some of them hot dogs in a pan, and I heated it up till it got real thick, and it tasted so good. So I know that these are going to turn out good with what I put in there, the extra brown sugar. So anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I hope you make you some baked beans. Do y'all love baked beans as much as I do? Especially with a potato salad or coleslaw, maybe some barbecue or fish or something like that. I really do love baked beans. We don't eat them a lot, but there's just that one time when you got that special. I even like eating them with, of course I like beans and franks, but I also like frying up potatoes with a little bit of sauerkraut and hot dogs and eating baked beans with that. So there's a meal right there. There's a lot you can do with baked beans. So I hope y'all love this video. Make you some baked beans if you've never made any. I will have the recipe down in the description box below my my video, and the extra that I put in there at the end, I'll make sure that I put that in there so y'all know that I got it to where I liked it, and maybe you'll like it that way too. So we'll see y'all in a few days, canning up some, if everything goes right. you know, things happen, things change sometime. But I do have my hens laid out, and some pretty good size hens, and I'm going to be putting them in my big roaster pan, all 4 of them, and I'm going to fill them up to where I can make a lot of broth out of it. So we'll be canning our chicken in the broth, plus if I have broth left over, we'll be canning that too. We'll see how much we get out of it. We may get a couple canner full, I'm not sure. But this is the way I do it, and I usually do this once or twice a year because that's one of the meats that I do love to can, and that's turkey or chicken. And the way I do it, I just really like it that way. Now, I used to raw pack chicken, and it was okay, but I like it better this way. So I hope y'all tune back about Thursday. If some reason something happens that I don't get to it, something happens, I will make sure I post that video won't be up till probably next week. But Friday is our Cooking with Our Cookbook, so don't forget that either. So I'll see y'all in a few days. God bless everybody. We still have everybody in our prayers, and we think about y'all every day. So just remember, God loves you. We love you. God bless.